Sports.
We are Sports. We are Sports.
Last night, the Twins offense exploded at the Trop, blasting 3 home runs on their way to an 11-7 victory. Tonight, the Rays send their ace to the hill. Chris Archer coming off his spectacular one-hit shutout versus the Astros last Thursday. Tonight's Wednesday Showdown is brought to you by your Tampa Bay area Mazda dealers. The Rays continue their final homestand of the month of August. It's a 6-gamer. This the second game of the 3-game series versus the Minnesota Twins. And after last night's opening loss, that wild card race still finds the Rays 2.5 back. You see New York up by 4, Texas, then the Angels and the Twins, each a half game back. The Rays tied with Baltimore. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to an evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson, Dwayne Stats. Well, the Rays are trying to get even tonight. They're going to send Chris Archer to the mound, who is coming off what most people, I think, have come to believe was the most dominant pitching performance the Rays have ever seen in the history of this franchise.
Well, listen, overpowering. That's all you can say about Chris Archer. His last time out against the Houston Astros, a very powerful home run hitting team. Chris Archer did not back away from them at all. In fact, what he did was he went out with the fastball and the slider and just completely neutralized the entire lineup. He gave up a ground ball single to Colby Rasmus that found a hole. Other than that, nothing. 1 walk to go along with 11 strikeouts. Got a little bit of help defensively, but it was the Chris Archer show. He did not disappoint, and the Rays need him to come up big here tonight.
Tonight, Archer, after his 12th win and his track record against the Twins, excellent. 4 starts, 4 wins, and a 0.74 earned run average. Rays come into this game a bit banged up coming out of last night's game, losing 2 more performers. Todd Callis will break all of that down in a moment.
240, JP Arancibia as the Rays get ready for the Minnesota Twins, second game of a 3-game series. Arancibia signed with the Baltimore Orioles and then was released 1 week into the season. The Rays were able to pick him up in mid-April, and then he's been down with AAA Durham ever since, playing primarily first base and DH, but then catching the last month or so, and that's why he's available to be the backup catcher to Rene Rivera now, because Curt Casale went on the DL with a left hamstring strain. It was bothering him for a couple of days, and he tweaked it in that home run yesterday. Desmond Jennings not available today, it doesn't seem, with that bruised left knee. So here is Arancibia, who had a close call earlier this season coming up for the Rays when Curt Casale had concussion-like symptoms but still played.
Obviously being from Florida and enjoying to be back in here and with this opportunity as a Ray, it's exciting. Firm believer all things happen for a reason, and I was down there for a reason and was trying to take advantage of it for whatever reason that was, and try to be a good teammate, try to help team win, and then obviously had a close call, and then unfortunately for Curt, I don't want to see any of that stuff happen, but now I'm here and hopefully can help the team win.
Don't forget, it's a Web Wednesday, which means those two guys will answer your questions. Dwayne Stats and Brian Anderson. Here's the deal. Tweet your questions to @SunSportsRays with a hashtag AskRays, or email your questions to sunsportsrays@gmail.com. Please send more than two and make BA a little bit more proud of Web Wednesday. We will have all the action right around the corner in 2 minutes and 45 seconds as we get ready for, or 2 minutes and 50 seconds as we get ready for the Twins and the Rays. It will be Chris Archer on the mound for Tampa Bay, Tyler Duffy on the mound for Minnesota. Enjoy the action next.
The Rays, after dropping 2 of 3 in their stop against the Twins in Minneapolis, dropped the first game here last night. Quick look at the starting lineup for the Twins, presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Buxton again leads off, followed by Dozier and Maurer, Sano, Plouffe, and Rosario down the middle. Escobar hits 7th. Chris Herman in the lineup catching, and Shane Robinson is in left, hitting 9th. All set to play ball with Chris Archer on the hill. And the first pitch of this game presented by Pinch-A-Penny. Fastball a bit outside. 1 ball, no strikes.
And when you think about Chris Archer here in this start tonight, your first thought is, well, now what? I mean, he was so fantastic his last time out and absolutely dominating the Houston Astros. Well, you're looking for just something close.
And that's a strike on the outer part of the plate. It's 1-1. He faced only one man over the minimum in that outing last Thursday in Houston. Up the right field side and out of play. 1-2 now. Myron Buxton, big prospect out of this Twins system. He was on base 3 times last night with a single walk and a double. And is out on strikes on the slider. 1-2 slider, 1 away.
Well, let's take a look at the Rays defense. Let's see how that's going to line up here tonight. It's brought to you by BMW. In that outfield left to right, we have Sizemore, Kiermaier, and Nava. Across the infield, third to first, Longoria, Cabrera, Forsythe, and Loney, with Rene Rivera getting the call behind the plate.
Brings up Brian Dozier. Twins second baseman. He takes the pitch high. A ball to no strikes. He went after a pitch up. I mean, really up last night in the 4th inning and hit his 26th home run of the year. And the strike, it's 1-1. Against Archer, he is 0 for 10 in his career. It's a ball and 2 strikes.
Well, you can see right there in the swing of Brian Dozier the effect that that slider has on these hitters. I mean, he started to back up as he was swinging the bat and fouling that pitch off. And you look at the hot zone. We talked about it in last night's game. He's a high ball hitter at 436. That's about where the pitch was, maybe even above that. But he definitely likes the ball up and out over.
And out on strikes. Boy, you talk about a pitch disappearing. That one did.
Check the swing. Brian Dozier, an accomplished hitter, a veteran hitter. Got a good idea at the plate. And that's the swing you get.
Wow. Slow this down. So 2 strikeouts, both on the slider. 2 up, 2 down, and it's Joe Mauer at the plate. 1 ball, no strikes. Mauer at 266. It's out of play the other way. Was on base twice with 2 walks and a couple runs scored. Otherwise 0 for 3 in the game.
Well, and he'll still give you the good at bat. He has that up the middle, the other way type of approach, but not, you know, he's not been the power threat that you envisioned throughout his career. As big as he is, you're thinking more than 8-9 home runs.
Ground ball right side. It's going to roll through just out of the reach of Forsythe. An aggressive turn by Mauer, but he's not going anywhere. And a 2-out single for him.
Well, able to roll over that pitch and just find a hole. Out in front, chops it, and just perfectly placed for a 2-out hit.
A man on with 2 outs for Miguel Sano. Well, we previewed him last night, and he belted a home run his first time up over the center field wall. 12 home runs in 45 games for Minnesota. Takes a big rip and fouls the fastball right back. Well, you can see since he joined the Twins on the 1st of July, he's been more productive than any other rookie in that time.
And it didn't take us long to see evidence of that. That home run you're talking about yesterday, 3-run homer, dead center field. He's big, he's strong, and he's been productive.
1-1. 3-2, and Carnes delivered the fastball.
Well, he got extended, and the impressive thing was you go out to dead center field, but the height on that home run.
Two on the slider.
Well, that's what these young hitters and really this entire lineup are going to have to deal with all night. Chris Archer not afraid to go to that slider early and often. It's a devastating pitch, and when he executes it, you have zero chance. I mean, you have zero chance.
Lays off the pitch. It's 2-2.
That's your best play.
Just lay it off. That's right. You know, that's one thing about Sano, they say, to be so young. He has such a great eye up there and discipline about laying off certain pitches.
We saw that early in the game yesterday on a number of at-bats, first 3 or 4 at-bats.
And he's out this time. Could not do it there. 3 strikeouts, all coming on the slider. Bottom of the first coming. Inning. 3 strikeouts and the base hit into right. And the Rays will have Daniel Nava to lead it off as we take a look at the lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Nava, Sizemore, and Longo, then Jaso, and then Forsythe. Cabrera at shortstop. James Loney hit 7th. Kevin Kiermaier 8th, and Rene Rivera in there behind the plate batting 9th.
Now they'll be taking a look at right-hander Tyler Duffy making his 4th start for the Twins. The first outing did not go very well against the Blue Jays, but his last 2 against the Cleveland Indians and the Baltimore Orioles threw the ball much better in picking up those 2 wins.
Nava stepping in from the left side against the rookie right-hander. He takes the pitch away. Well, the Rays start tonight a game under at 62-63, and Minnesota 3 games over 500. 1-1.
And that's what Duffy is going to want to do here tonight. Locate the fastball. He's got a good curveball and a changeup that has been a work in progress.
Foul ball. Interesting in that Duffy, a young right-hander out of Rice University, and in college really was a relief pitcher, and now he's been groomed through the Twin system as a starter.
Yeah, part-time closer his last 2 years at Rice. And so he said sometimes I'd get the 8th, sometimes I'd get the 9th. Twins draft him, started off as a reliever, then they turned him into a starter, and a couple years later, here he is.
It stays wide. It's 2-2.
Going to see a guy that he wants to keep the ball on the ground. We were looking up some of his minor league numbers this year. 138 innings in minor league baseball between AA and AAA. He gave up 1 home run.
That's pretty amazing. There's a strike call, and he gets Nava looking at the curveball.
Let's take a quick look at this Minnesota Twin defense and see how it's going to line up here tonight. Brought to you by BMW. In the outfield left-right, we have Shane Robinson, Byron Buxton, and Eddie Rosario. Across that infield third to first, Trevor Plouffe, Eduardo Escobar, Brian Dozier, and Joe Mauer, with Chris Herman behind the plate.
Grady Sizemore in the number 2 spot. No strikes. The fastball missing the zone. Sizemore on 3 times last night with a couple walks. He was hit by a pitch, scored a run. To strike 1-1. Duffy a year ago ran right through the Twins minor league system. He started at A-ball, high A-ball at Fort Myers. Spent most of the year at AA and then finished at AAA. So he went Fort Myers, New Britain, and Rochester all in the same year in their system. Sizemore ahead of him in the count, 3-1.
Well, the biggest obstacle that Duffy's had to overcome was really the lack of a third pitch, and that's what has hurt him against left-handed hitters. That changeup, like I said, still a work in progress.
High fly ball down the right field line. Rosario into foul territory, and he makes the catch. Ball just stayed playable.
Duffy was saying when he was at Rice in that part-time closing role, it was fastball curveball, working an inning at a time. And all of a sudden now, if you're going to become a starter and you're not going to be overpowering, you think about a guy like Chris Archer can at times get away with 2 pitches for, well, last start, 9 innings. But most guys, you need that third pitch, and that's what he's been working on.
Yeah, that gets him into trouble because when he's behind, that curveball is really a good pitch, but he still goes with the fastball a lot behind in the count.
You know, for a guy that is not overpowering, you're right. The percentages behind in the count is astounding. You see the percentage, you say, well, this guy must throw 100.
Yeah. Because
there's no way that at 91, 92, you're going to be that predictable, but he is.
Fly ball driven back into center. Right center, and Buxton right next to Rosario as they bump out there, and Buxton makes the catch. We go to the second inning, no score.
Picking up right where he left off against the Astros. Dominant in the first inning and very good with the slider. There he gets Buxton. Brian Dozier over the top and out in front. And then how about this? Miguel Sano goes down on that pitch too. I know, Dwayne, after that last strikeout, we looked at each other and said,
yeah, that's pretty dominant right there. I'll tell you, the Twins got that base hit by Mauer. You know, that could have easily been a ground ball that was playable. Here's Plouffe lifting a foul ball out of play on a mid-90s fastball down the right side. Strike one. So Archer indeed picking up in the first inning where he left off in the ninth in Houston. Oh, 2. Fastball in around 96.
This is one of those starts, too, that Chris Archer looks forward to in the sense that he knows his team needs him. He knows that the team needs him to step up. The pitching staff the last couple of games has struggled, given up a lot of runs. And so these are the kind of games where a guy like Chris Archer in his position goes out and says, tonight it's going to be on me, and I'm going to lead us to victory. And he relishes those opportunities.
Yeah, he'd like nothing more than to give the bullpen a day of rest after last night. They got 3 from Carnes, and then Andriese came in for 3, took the loss. Cedeno and Romero followed. Ground ball to the left of Cabrera, who dives, makes the throw, got him! A diving stop by Cabrera, and he got it across to Loney just in the nick of time.
Trevor Plouffe, who's not a burner, but this ball wasn't hit that hard, and that's how far as Drupal had to go for it with the dive. No wasted motion, and you're right. You talk about as close as it gets. That foot coming down to the front edge. Tremendous play.
Well, that's what we've seen all year long from Cabrera. He's been really amazing, and since coming back from the disabled list, the offensive side of his game has been amazing. But he's made all the plays at shortstop, and that was an outstanding one there. Eddie Rosario lifts it into left toward the line. That's caught by Sizemore. 2 gone.
Well, anytime I think that you challenge a professional athlete that takes pride in what he does, and last year as Asdrubal Cabrera was challenged, he was basically told, you know what, shortstop's not for you anymore. And so he had an offseason to think about that and wondered what his opportunity would be in coming in with the Rays, knew it was going to be a competition, and it didn't take him very long to win that over. I mean, pretty early in spring training when they said, yeah, he's going to be the guy out at short.
Escobar takes a strike. Yeah, that was interesting to watch because he was willing to enter that competition. Said from the get-go that he wanted to play shortstop. Well, of course he did. But he was willing and confident enough of himself to engage in that battle to win the job, and boy, did he. And he's been, you can argue, the top, or certainly the top 2 or 3 shortstops in the league this year. 1-2 the count to Escobar. Two outs, bases empty, still 1-2 on Eduardo Escobar. Escobar, a 2 RBI night last night. And he takes that one, a slider in at 90. Strikeout number 4 for Archer. Let's go places. Outback Steakhouse curbside takeaway. Making your steak come to you has never been easier. Order online at Outback.com. And by Morgan Auto Group. Megan Morgan, we make it happen. No score through an inning and a half at Tropicana Field. John Jaso will open the home half of the second, hitting cleanup as the designated hitter against Tyler Duffy. Ground ball. Dozier at second has this one. One pitch, one out, and now it's time to check in with Emily Austin. Emily?
It's Web Wednesday. Submit your questions, and Dwayne and BA may answer it in the booth. You can email sunsportsrays@gmail.com or head over to Twitter using the hashtag AskRays to @SunSportsRays. We start things off with which is probably going to be the topic of the next couple weeks. Alex Jankowski said, with as tight as the AL wildcard race is, do you see it coming down to game 162 or even 163 again? And then Scott Nannon added to that by asking, how many wins do you think it will take to capture the second wild card?
Well, obviously no way of knowing if it's going to go to 162 or 163, and of course we've been there a time or two. It shows all the signs of going right down to the wire, because that's what these teams have been doing. These two teams here, and essentially the 5 teams involved, they'll win a couple, lose a couple, and I think if one of those teams can somehow put together a little winning streak, that's going to make the difference. But right now, it's been difficult for a team to take charge.
It's 5 teams right now. I know the Yankees have had a rough go of it, but they're still in a pretty strong position right now with the Blue Jays. And then you look at those 5 teams that are underneath. You start to think about the Orioles. They've been sliding. The Twins, Angels, the Rangers, and the Rays. And the way that it looks right now, out of those 5, it's going to be one team. So who can put something together? We keep saying it. No one's been capable of, for an extended enough period of time to be able to put themselves in good, except for the Blue Jays. Blue Jays were part of that group too. They made obviously the big moves, and now they look to be in a very strong position to maybe end up winning the division.
Yeah,
we'll
they
see.
Certainly do. And if they win the division, you're still going to you'll look at either the Blue Jays or the Yankees win the division in that wild card spot.
Yep.
Now, what happens to the second wild card spot? And that's going to be the race to the finish, it seems. How many wins? I think you're safe to say 86 wins, maybe 85, but 86, 87, somewhere in there.
So that would mean the Rays 22-15, 23-14 the rest of the way.
Yep.
That's
somehow you're going to have to get there. That's
yep.
why if a team can win 7 or 8 in a row,
oh my gosh,
then they're there.
Yep. And you're playing the Twins, who are directly ahead of you. You're playing the Baltimore Orioles that are right beside you. Then the next 8 games, you're going to get those guys 5 times.
Yeah. For a long time, I thought fewer wins than that might do the job.
Yeah.
84.
Certainly the Rangers have played better. The Twins, they were sliding for a while. Ended up, they've won, 5 in a row?
Forsythe misses a fastball, the second strikeout for Duffy. Well, there's the upcoming schedule. It's not going to be easy.
No, because look, we talked about Minnesota, but then you got these guys coming in, how tough they are, and got New York too, but Boston, the way that they've been swinging the bats when you come back home, it's not going to be easy any way you cut it. Rays are going to have to play sound, fundamental baseball. They're going to have to pitch better. They're going to have to continue swinging the bats.
The 2 resurgent offensive have been the Red Sox and the Rays in August. And the Rays are going to have to continue that. They just cannot have an offensive letdown if they're going to entertain hopes of putting a little streak together like that. They're going to have to continue to get strong pitching. And with that in mind, strong pitching, you lose Jake McGee and you think, well, now what happens? the continuing emergence of Alex Colomé could play a big role in this Rays bullpen. It'll be interesting to see how that continues to develop.
Well, we've seen him strong for 1 in Houston. We saw him strong for 2 in Oakland.
And now Cabrera is out on strikes. 2 strikeouts, both coming on the fastball. Through 2, no score. To tweet your strongest fan photo, use hashtag #SSDataStrongFan. You just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Chris Herman catching tonight will lead it off, and he fouls the first pitch out of play deep down the left side, going back into the stands.
Smart man. He's seen the slider here early in the ball game and said, I don't want to get any count where that comes into play, so I'm swinging at the first heater I see.
1-1. I mean, wouldn't you? I mean, absolutely.
How did the Rangers have success against Chris Archer?
Yep.
They didn't wait around for the slider. And by the time, that's the thing, by the time Chris made the adjustment in going to that slider earlier in the count, first pitch specifically, it was already at that point almost too late. They had built their lead.
Yeah, they came out swinging on the attack early. It's now 3-1 on Herman.
There's really no other way to attack Chris Archer. With his command and his stuff, if you let him dictate the tempo, you're through. You're through. He's too good. You've got to go out there and try to take it to him.
And now the count is full. And if you're going to go for that fastball, there's first pitch fastball, 3-1 fastball, and then, try to catch up.
And now you don't know what you'll get.
Yep. Because it's a toss-up.
It truly. I got heads.
And that is strike 3 call. Slider for a strike on 3-2. Caught looking.
See, that's the thing. You're just never sure with him. 3-2, fastball, 95-96, or how about this? A lockup slider.
Yeah, I like that call by the young umpire, Jordan Baker, too. He is 6'7", the tallest umpire going right now. And as that pitch had that great breakdown, he stayed with it and called strike 3 on a 3-2 slider.
Now that you mention it, you look down at him as he's standing in between. He is ginormous.
He is. He's 6'7". He's a big guy. And the shot back into left center field. Kiermaier on the run. That's going to be over his head and will bound over the fence. And Robinson has a two-base hit.
And the break for the Rays is it bouncing over the fence. If that bounces up and catches the top of the fence and stays in play, Robinson is standing on third base. So that's a break that ball cleared the fence.
Yeah, and he earned that smile. You hit the ball that deep for a two-base hit. Robinson at second.
That ball hung up there so long, Kiermaier just couldn't get to it. And it bounds over. Yeah, especially from a guy that looked like came out of Jordan Baker's front pocket.
Now here's a bunt attempt, and it's going to be caught by Rivera. Buxton trying to put down the bunt. That fastball too much to handle on the bunt attempt. That's out number 2.
A good reaction, too, by Rene Rivera. How many times do you see those bunts come off the bat like that, low pop-ups that they can't find in time? Catchers just can't find in time, but quick up, spots it quickly, and little basket catch.
Yeah, and I'm not ignoring your comment there because there was a difference. You know, Baker's 6'7", Robinson about 5'9".
You got to see it the next time.
Oh, yeah.
It's good, especially when he's in his batting stance.
Yeah.
Baker's still standing.
Robinson, a Tampa native, and went to FSU. Has a two-base hit. 1-0 the count to Brian Dozier. Back into the screen. 1-1. Robinson went to Tampa Jesuit. And standing on second base. Upstairs, 2-1. Dozier, who developed his power last year, hit 23 home runs, has 26 this year. And that's a strike. And he will, as we saw last night, he'll power the ball. Big cut swing from the heels. And the question is, would you rather have him hit 270 with 8 or 9 home runs, or 245 with 26 home runs?
Easy answer.
That's right.
Give me the 26.
He's out on strikes. Fastball 95. No runs, a hit, and the man left. Bottom of the third coming. No score.
Heading to the bottom half of the third inning. Unfortunately for Casale, he goes on the disabled list today with a strained left hamstring. It happened during a home run yesterday, approaching first base. Thought it might go off the wall, so he was busting it down the line. So he goes on the DL as the Rays end up getting that home run from Casale. Casale hopes it won't be too long of a stint on the DL, but he said he felt that hamstring for a couple days and then just kind of grabbed on him going to first base last night. So while Kurt's on the DL, Rene Rivera, who had been the everyday catcher out of spring training, takes over those number one catching duties. And then JP Arencibia is the newest member of the Rays. Arencibia, who caught for the Toronto Blue Jays early in his career, then went to the Texas Rangers last year. This year, guys, hadn't caught much. It wasn't until the end of July when Bobby Wilson was acquired by the Rangers that the Rays had Arencibia catch for the Durham Bulls. So he is back with Tampa Bay, back in the big leagues, and very happy to be here. Back to you.
All right, here's a high fly ball off the bat of James Loney on the 1-0 pitch. Well, the Rays have attempted to mix and match all year with the injury situation being what it has been. And so Arencibia is up here with Casale injured. And the hamstring can be tricky. See, it's hard to tell, you know, if he can be back or not. You really don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be, you know, just have to see how the treatment goes.
Here's Kiermaier lifting it into left, and that ball in the glove and out of Robinson. Kiermaier around second and puts on the brakes there. Robinson full speed ahead, had it in his glove, and it popped out. Kiermaier winds up at second.
Well, that could come back to haunt you. Nice job by Shane Robinson. We talked about his speed on the base pass, and he did a great job of closing ground here. This floater by Kiermaier looked like it was going to get down, but he closes ground quickly, and boy, he had it. Never got it into the pocket of the glove, though. Stayed towards the edge, dribbles out, and now you got speed to burn out at second with one out.
So the Rays get a scoring opportunity, an error charge to Robinson. And here's Rene Rivera. Rivera, after the first pitch, lifts it into right for Rosario. Will make the catch. Tag at third by Kiermaier. Rosario can throw, and he is out at third base.
Wow.
Rosario, a very good arm. Close play at third.
He may not have got him, but the fact that we're even looking at it, that was a cannon from right field. To get Kiermaier, to get close.
Take a look at that arm.
Quick tag. Plouffe gave himself a chance because of the quick tag, and we'll see. Wow, he did get him.
So they're going to take a look. And if it stands, it's going to be the 12th assist of the year for Rosario.
Well, those last two looks, it certainly looked like the tag was on the elbow before the hand got to the bag. I don't see any way this gets overturned. But regardless,
yeah,
what an arm. Kiermaier could fly. We know that.
Well, when I saw Kiermaier go back to tag and where Rosario was, you knew it had a chance to be really interesting, because you're right. Kiermaier can fly, and Rosario has a great arm.
Well, and you got to give credit too to Plouffe. You know, the way that he didn't waste any time. The glove was up. He was on top of the baseball and bringing it down immediately. And that gave him a chance, and it certainly looked like on those last two angles that we had that the tag was there in time.
Kiermaier came up immediately signaling to the dugout that he thought he was safe, but it's going to be tough to convince the people in charge given that shot.
Yeah, right there's the tag. The hand not to the bag yet. Pretty simple, you would think. Unfortunately, you'd like to have him at third with two outs.
So we'll see there with Jerry Meals and Andy Fletcher with the headsets on. Taking a little time, and perhaps they haven't gotten to the view that we just saw.
Yeah, because we'll see.
Hey, the Rays are hoping maybe they don't get to that view.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of cameras, a lot of angles.
So the final conclusion is that the call was correct. And so we're going to go into the fourth. We are still scoreless. Sunday, August 30th, when the Rays play the Royals, kids 14 and under receive a DJ Kitty drawstring bag presented by All Children's Hospital, Johns Hopkins Medicine, while supplies last. For tickets, call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. On to the fourth. Here's Joe Mauer, and he takes the pitch in there for a strike. Mauer singled his first time. One and one. You take the two principals in that deal right there, that play that ended the bottom of the third. By the way, the official ruling is that it stands. It appeared to be a little more clear cut to us than that, but it stands and everything's the same anyway. Foul ball 1 and 2. But when you take Rosario and Kiermaier, Rosario can also run. Kiermaier's probably going to beat him in a flat foot race, but they can both run, and as we can see, they can both throw.
Yes.
And so what Kiermaier ran into there is what a lot of base runners have run into with him making the throw. That takes care of Joe Mauer. The slider retires him, and that's 7 strikeouts now.
Two strikes slider down and in, which is a great look. Look at the eyes on the target and the finish out in front. And look at that hair, bobbling that hat around. When does that hat just come off mid-delivery? Because it's close. Another shutout, another complete game, and forget it. The hat, it's off. Yep. And he's not changing it. He may have to get a chin strap for that thing. Football season coming up.
Yeah, I'm not even sure whether there's a strike, and the count is 1-1. You're right about that. He's kept it all season. That's the gamer.
Yeah, oh yeah. You don't mess with the gamer either. Gamer goes in a special place. You bring it out once every 5 days. That's just the way it goes. And so he's continues to grow the hair. Will not change the hat. I'm saying by NFL opening weekend kickoff, he's got a chin strap on that hat.
That's a strike. It's now 2-2. This is going way back. Talking about pitchers who had trouble keeping their caps on. Liner into left. That's going to fall for a base hit. And Sano has a 1-out single here. You know, Jim Bouton became famous for writing ball 4. When he came up with the Yankees, a couple of things. He was very good, a hard thrower, and with his delivery, his cap fell off on what seemed to be every pitch. It was amazing.
I want to see that.
Oh, yeah. It was just amazing.
You'd have to make the adjustment there, right? I mean, will you get annoyed in picking that hat up after every pitch?
One would think, but I mean, it seemed he spent all night making a pitch and putting his cap back on. And Archer has not gotten to that point yet.
No, he hasn't. But he's closing in.
Plouffe. Now that changed a little bit later when Bouton essentially transformed himself into a knuckleball pitcher. You know, there just wasn't enough torque in that delivery when you're throwing a knuckleball the way he did early in his career. Sano, the runner at first. There's a foul ball right back on the fastball. Into the screen it goes, and it's 1-1.
And when we saw right there, that was a great shot of Sano's lead. Archer could probably go back out of the windup. He's not going anywhere. I mean, you look where his lead was. We talk about an aggressive lead. That left foot will be out here at the cut. And let's see where he ends up. There you go.
And Loney feels a little crowded over there.
Running interference. That was actually a pretty good shot of Sano standing next to James Loney, because James Loney's a big man.
Yes,
and
he is.
Sano
is a big man.
Has a size advantage.
Yep. And remember, they signed him to play shortstop.
Sure.
Then they talked about third base. They talked about first base at some point. And the count is full on Plouffe. But the main thing they care about now is his ability to hit. And boy, for being a young hitter, he is showing signs of being very special.
22 years old. He's up here doing his thing. Still hasn't taken a swing in AAA. Made the jump this year from AA. And at his age, the information that he's accumulating right now on these American League pitchers, and if they have any kind of interleague, getting to play in playoff caliber baseball, or at least playoff race baseball, it's going to benefit him down the road for sure.
Well, you look at Sano and Rosario, two young, good-looking players in this Minnesota lineup that could be around for a long time with the Twins. Plouffe out on strikes. Slider got him. Second strikeout of the inning, both on sliders. And that's 8 strikeouts now for Archer.
Boy, have there been any strikeouts not on the sliders? And if there has, maybe one? You can only hold off for so long.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe, let's see, what did Dozier? No, he threw a fastball to Dozier. struck him out.
Away.
Mid-90s fastball. That's the only one.
Yep.
Rosario takes a pitch upstairs. 3 strikeouts in the first, all on sliders. You got Escobar looking at a slider. Herman looking at a slider. Dozier on the fastball. 2 slider strikeouts here in the fourth. One and one. Now to play with that foul ball. Yeah, there's some really interesting things to see here tonight with Archer out there, with Sano. We've seen Kiermaier get thrown out by Rosario. Line drive toward right center field. Kiermaier is going to cut it off. Sano will be held at third. The throw goes into second, and Rosario arrives there. So it's second and third with 2 outs.
Well, that was a nice job by Eddie Rosario. He stays short on the slider. Just right down to it, able to lift it out into right center field.
Yeah, and that's why you know, with all the attention paid to Sano, you really can't overlook Rosario. He's a nice player.
He really is. He's been impressive so far in this series. We saw the arm. We've seen the ability to swing the bat, the home run in last night's game. Some good young talent with this Twins team. It'll be interesting to see how they mature through the offseason and what this team looks like next year.
Yep.
Already pretty dangerous, especially on this road trip.
Eduardo Escobar, the switch hitting shortstop, up here with 2 men in scoring position. Fastball misses. The Twins with 4 hits, 2 coming in this inning. Pop fly toward the line in left. Sizemore is there to make the catch. 2 hits, 2 strikeouts, 2 left. Chris Archer with 8 strikeouts through the first 4, and this game is scoreless. Order to lead it off in the game tonight and all season. Tires Plus donates $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Tampa Bay Rays home run televised on Sun Sports. So Daniel Nava, switch hitting outfielder, Caught looking at a curveball in the first inning. It's one of 3 strikeouts for Tyler Duffy through the first 3. There's a shot into right field. Rosario back, and that ball is gone. Line drive home run for Daniel Nava, and the Rays are out in front. Daniel Nava's first home run in a Rays uniform, and line drive out of here to right.
When do we talk about the danger area with left-handed hitters? It's exactly where Duffy decides to go, down and in. It's a gift taken full advantage of by Daniel Nava. Rope job out into right field and just into the stands.
And a nice catch out there by that young man.
That's a team. That's a team. Saw them during batting practice.
Yep.
Down behind the home plate area, so they can play a little bit.
Look at that. Some celebrating going on out there on that nice catch of that home run. That's how it's done. Sizemore, and he lines one. Oh, what a catch by Dozier. Dozier climbing the ladder in the air to get up there and make that catch to rob Sizemore of a base hit.
You're trying to lift that ball down in the zone, and Dozier rips that one right away from you. Boy, heck of a play. I mean, right into the outer reaches of the webbing of that glove.
Some play right there on the follow-up of the home run. So a couple of line drives here, and now here's Evan Longoria. Pitch is a strike. Evan lifted a fly ball into center field his first time. Pitch is down. It's 1-1. Breaking ball misses. 2-1. There's a shot deep into left center field. That's got some carry, and it's off the wall. Buxton plays the carol on a 2-base hit for Longoria. Evan chose the deepest part of the park to drive that one. That's the only thing that kept it in. It's his 27th double.
Well, the Rays are starting to find the zone where Duffy likes to work, and that's obviously down. 2-1 count. Look at the bat head down. Longoria down and through that baseball, much like Daniel Nava. Another low missile. Unfortunately, this one's headed, like you said, Dwayne, out to no man's land.
So a home run and a 1-out double for John Jaso. Jaso grounded to second his first time. Ball, no strikes. 24-year-old right-hander Duffy, born in Houston, went to Rice University. Too low, 2-0. The outside corner. Rays with a run home. It's Logan Forsythe on deck. That will run the count to 3-1. Duffy coming off a win over Baltimore. Gave up 10 hits in 7 2/3 innings. And just 2 runs. Didn't walk anybody in that one. Struck out 8. Back-to-back wins over Cleveland and Baltimore after the loss to the Blue Jays. And he's 3-1 against Jaso. Jaso, after the fastball, fouls it away. 3-2. Duffy made 1 start in college out of 92 appearances. And that one missed for ball 4. Threw him a breaking ball there. 3-2 and gives up the walk. Follow the Rays all season with MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com at Bat for your smartphone or tablet.
Well, how about this? So far from Duffy, we've seen majority fastballs, a couple of breaking balls, maybe a changeup or 2. Second time through the lineup, look at the adjustment the Rays have made.
And the first pitch to Forsythe is popped up into center field, carrying out to Buxton, who makes the catch.
The first true out of the inning right there. Yeah, a home run. Sizemore gets robbed on a line drive. Longoria doubles, then a walk. So the Rays starting to hone in on what Duffy is trying to do. And JP Arancibia taking a crash course from Jim Hickey.
Yeah. How do you like to be the catcher? Come in all of a sudden, get to know the pitching staff in a hurry.
And Desmond's cold.
Yep, apparently. There's Drupal Cabrera. And he takes a breaking ball. Ball 1.
You know, a lot of times catchers come up. They've been in the organization. You got to see these pitchers during spring training. You get to know them over a month, month and a half. And now you get called up, get refreshed, and there you go. He's starting from scratch. I mean, starting from scratch. You've seen some of these guys, you know, as a opposing player, you know, with the Blue Jays. You've seen Arancibia quite a bit, but still having to catch them, know what they like to do, know what they throw, you better believe that his head is going to be in the book.
Yeah, and it's that comfort factor, as you well know, is such a big part of that.
On both ends.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, the first pitcher that's like, okay, I hope he knows what I want to do here.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You know,
I mean, you can only imagine. You know, it as again, and we've talked about pitchers who have favorite catchers and how you're just in absolute sync. Now you've got a guy who you have really no clue until you get there and take the crash course like he's doing.
And the first game, obviously, that he's going to play behind the plate, if he's going to get a start, you know that starting pitcher, they're going to be well aware. They're going to spend that night before on the bench talking. This is what I like to do. This is my stuff, you know, and going over all of that. And then once you get out there, you've got the game plan. You see what the guy's stuff. He'll catch the last few minutes of the guy's bullpen as he's warming up for the game to see what his pitches are doing on that particular night. And then you just go to playing baseball.
Shot foul. The count's going to be full. Well, and I would think, ask you, there's a rhythm that develops. A starting pitcher, any pitcher, likes to be in his own rhythm. And if a catcher's not sure about where a pitcher wants to go with a pitch, that rhythm gets thrown out of sync.
Yeah. No, there's no question that it does, and that's where communication is key.
There's ball 4. So a couple of walks here in this inning. The bases are loaded, and James Loney will be coming to the plate. 20-pitch fourth on the heels of that 4-pitch third.
Well, he was efficient. First time through the lineup, a lot of fastballs down in the zone, a lot of quick outs, but all of a sudden Nava gets to one, and things have started to speed up a little bit here on Duffy, and the Rays have a chance with the way that Chris Archer's throwing the baseball. A base hit here, that lead would look significant.
Archer's gone through the front four, accumulating 8 strikeouts. No runs on 4 hits and no walks. The Rays got a run on the leadoff home run by Daniel Nava here in this inning, and they've loaded the bases with 2 outs. So a big at bat for James Loney, who had 3 hits and 3 runs batted in last night. A couple of doubles and a run scored. It's Duffy against Loney. He starts him with a curveball, and he takes it for a strike to get ahead. Well, staying away from the hard stuff here, and it's 0-2.
I mean, and that last curveball had some bite to it. 80 miles an hour. You see the low 3/4 arm angle and the finish on the pitch. That was a nice one by Duffy. Well, I think everybody understands this is a big part of the game. No, it's only the 4th inning. Like I said, a base hit here.
It's down. He stayed with the curveball on 3 straight pitches here.
Boy, if that's the way that you want to get him out, I always like that, you know, with a good hitter like James Loney, the 0-2 show fastball. Just show him off the plate. Not where he's going to reach it, do anything to it, then go back to the curveball. 3 in a row, he starts to get wise.
Curveball, and it's bounced down to first. Bauer's going to make the play, so he stayed with 4 straight curveballs to get the ground ball. The Rays leave them loaded, and they get a run on the Daniel Nava home run. At the end of 4, it's 1-0 Tampa Bay. Daniel Nava, as promised earlier in the game, we've selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Tweet your strongest fan photo to Hashtag SS Data Strong Fan for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Chris Herman, the Minnesota catcher, takes the first pitch upstairs. 1 ball, no strikes. Herman went to 3-2 in the 3rd inning in his first at bat. It was called out on strikes on a slider. There's a base hit off the fastball. Got past Forsythe, who's diving to his right, and the leadoff man is on. Hit number 5 allowed by Chris Archer.
The only thing that gave him an opportunity to get that by Forsythe was the ball was up. Up, you get extension, better contact, hit it harder, and he had to hit it hard, or Logan would have made that play.
Shane Robinson shortens on the bat. Pitch is a ball.
Yeah, telling right there. Trying to move a runner into scoring position, realizing that runs might be difficult to come by here tonight.
Ground ball. Cabrera. They get the out at second and no play at first. So they cut down Herman. Keep him out of scoring position.
I'll tell you, that's a huge play. His ball looked like it may sneak up the middle for a hit, but Cabrera, and then the backhanded flip. No way you're going to be able to double up Robinson. But boy, oh boy, get that lead runner.
You can see Cabrera digging to get that ball out of the mid.
Where are you?
So 1 out with Robinson aboard. Pitch to Buxton is a strike. Runner goes, throw down is not going to be in time. A stolen base, that's number 6 in 7 attempts for Robinson.
Well, right there, he was moving. And Chris Archer, and you see Loney off the bag just a little bit, did not even stop Robinson as he's starting to move towards second. And then, of course, Rene Rivera's got to hurry the throw. And that allows Robinson to get in rather easily. And Logan Forsythe, thankfully, to avoid injury as he slid into him pretty hard.
A 1-1 count on Buxton. The right side, that'll be a foul ball. Nava on the run. It's out of his reach and into the stands, out of play. Buxton has struck out, fouled out trying to bunt in the 3rd. Archer looking for that called 3rd strike on that mid-90s fastball. And it goes as ball 2, 2-2. There's a base hit into left field. Sizemore up with it. Robinson watched the ball go through, and so he has to stop at 3rd. And it's 1st and 3rd in the 5th inning.
And that could be a huge break for the Rays because the speed of Shane Robinson, if he's off and running, he's going to score easily. Buxton gets out to the slider, able to pull it in the hole. But Shane Robinson, as that ball is starting to head towards the hole, watch what he does. Okay, got it right there, that little hesitation, and that's what ended up costing the Twins an opportunity to score there.
Twins had a couple of men on in the fourth, left them on, and they have men at first and third with one out in the fifth. And here's a tough out in Brian Dozier. Dozier has struck out twice tonight on a slider in the first inning and a fastball in the third. Ground ball third. Longoria to Forsythe, one, and he can't get the throw away. Run scores. Robinson crosses the plate. Boy, there's a missed opportunity here for the Rays all the way around.
Yeah, because the ball got down to Evan Longoria pretty quick, and so he's going to get rid of it quick. A good feed. Let's see if Logan Forsythe.
Well, Archer looking for that force play at second and not getting the call from Jerry Meals.
Well, you saw Logan as he's taking the throw. He's coming across the bag. He knows, first of all, Buxton is bearing down on him, so he's going to try to come across the bag to avoid Buxton, make the throw back, and came a little bit too far for the liking of Jerry Meals. Right there, off the bag as he takes hold of that baseball. Right here, watch him hop off the bag, ball and glove. And that's what the call was. He knows he's got to avoid Buxton, and it was a little too soon for Jerry Meals' liking.
So the game is tied 1-1. Joe Mauer's the hitter with men at first and second. Dozier reaching. And the pitch is a strike.
You know, I wonder if the safe call threw Logan off, because even if he's safe, you throw that ball over to first, you get the out at first. And he held on to it.
Mauer swings and misses. You know, it's interesting. You know, you get in a situation like that, and there's timing involved. He came across the bag a little quicker than he wanted. I'm not sure how immediate Meals was on the safe call. Now, he might have verbalized it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It'll come out of his mouth a lot of times before you think about the strike three calls from Tim McClellan.
Yeah.
He'll say it, and then you wonder, and then the sign comes up, but everybody already knows, and that could have happened. Odd play.
So Dozier gets a run batted in. And that's a strike call to Mauer. Caught looking. Got him looking on a slider for strikeout number 9. It's going to bring up Miguel Sano. So Sano has struck out and singled. And Buxton retreats to second. Archer looked back there. Now he's going to have a little conversation with Rivera. Well, Archer with 9 strikeouts, so he now has 214 strikeouts. He's moved ahead of Corey Kluber. And Chris Sale has 222. So Archer, who started the night number 3, now second in the American League in strikeouts.
And those top 3 just continue to distance themselves from the field.
Did Sano go? No. 1-0.
Sano was the answer. Now, slider.
Two men on. There's a strike. 1-1. There was an error charged on that play at second base, allowing Buxton to remain, and that's charged to Forsythe for coming across the bag too quickly. Two and one. Into the books as a fielder's choice for Dozier and a run batted in. Fielder's choice and an error on that play. There's a strike, and it's 2-2.
And Miguel Sano may wish that he would have swung at that pitch.
Might be thinking that right now.
Now that slider for Chris Archer hung up there just a little bit, but I think the fact that it was a 2-1 count bought him a little margin for error. And now he can try to put him away and get out of this inning.
2-2. Misses wide, a fastball. So it's a full count with runners at first and second. 2 outs in the inning, and what is a tie game, 1-1. He got him 2-2 with a slider back in the first inning. He's 3-2 with him here in the fifth. And a big cut and a foul ball back on the fastball. That's into the stands down the right side. Do all that again on 3-2. So a very big pitch coming for Archer again on the second 3-2 delivery to Miguel Sano. Runners go, pitch bang, swing and a miss, he got him. He came back with a slider to strike him out. 10 strikeouts for Archer. We're tied 1-1. Brought to you by Just for Men. Great looking hair made easy. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by your Tampa Bay Mazda dealers. Well, the Rays got the home run from Nava in the fourth. Minnesota putting up a run in the fifth. And we go to the home half of the inning with Kevin Kiermaier set to lead it off. JP Arencibia getting to know some of his teammates here coming up from Durham, and Tim Beckham there to welcome him. And, of course, they did spend some time together off and on at Durham. Kiermaier reached on an error the first time. Takes this one in for a strike. Duffy was in big trouble in the fourth after giving up the leadoff home run. Then the Rays eventually loaded the bases, and he went to work against James Loney with the curveball and got him on a ground ball. There's one ripped into left center field. We'll watch Kiermaier run. The pickup by Robinson, and Kiermaier's on his way to third. Not a play. Kiermaier's three-base hit to open the bottom of the fifth. Triple number 12 on the year for Kiermaier.
But doesn't it look like Kevin Kiermaier, with the issue with the thumb, that he's cut down on the swing? And look at that, just a two-strike smooth swing on a mistake by Duffy. He wanted that ball way up in the zone. It didn't get there, so he just flips it out there into left center field. Then you let your legs do the work.
I think that's a great observation with that thumb. I think he has cut down on his swing. Interesting how those things work out. It could make him a better hitter. You see, he's atop the list of leaders in the American League in triples. Here's Rivera. The infield comes in. A swing and a miss. Big cut. Rivera.
You know, that was something that caught my eye. I think it was in the game last night where he had the swing and a miss and really grimaced. And then the same at-bat just took a nice, easy, smooth swing and hit the ball right back up the middle. And it was like, okay, cut down on your swing, use the middle of the field.
That could be a big development for him with his speed. And there are times, you know, you think he's the kind of hitter who could look for situations to unload.
Yeah.
But if he cuts down on that swing and puts the ball into play all over the place with his speed, how valuable could he be? Wow. 2 strikes the count now to Rivera. Ball 2 strikes. So the Rays put Duffy right back into trouble here in the bottom of the 5th.
Well, infield pulled in, but right now with 2 strikes and Rivera, you're just looking for contact. Give yourself a fighting chance.
Wide there. 2-2.
Duffy right now thinking about back to Rice closing days, punch outs.
Yep.
That's what he's going for.
And look at the curveball. 2-2. Strike 3 call. Well, that curveball, the reputation he has as a young pitcher out of college and through their minor league system, basically predicated on the curveball.
And if you're Rene Rivera, you're thinking for something middle of the plate away. And he throws a backup curveball, starts it in off the plate, breaks it to the inside corner. And, you know, that's a pitch, you're right, Dwayne. It's been a big pitch for him throughout college, obviously into the pros, and he's had a pretty good one here tonight.
Daniel Nava infield remains up. Ball, no strikes. Nava jumped on the first pitch in the 4th inning and lined it into the seats and right. Duffy starts him with a curveball here for ball 1. Away with the fastball, 2-0. Kiermaier down to third with his major league high 12 triples. 3 of those have come here at the Trop. And another miss. So a couple fastballs away off the plate, 3-0. Grady Sizemore is on deck. Ball 4. Stayed away with a fastball and walks Nava first and third for Sizemore. Have you seen the outlaw? Capture Kiermaier Saturday, August 29th, when the Rays battled the Royals. All fans received the Kevin Kiermaier Outlaw action figure, presented by Dex Imaging while supplies last. For tickets, call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. Rays up. Andy Fletcher telling Kevin Kiermaier he'd like an outlaw figure.
Kevin said after you called me out and that stood, no. The answer's no.
Well, now Grady Sizemore. Sizemore hit the ball very hard his last time, and that's when Dozier made the leaping catch with the first down in the 4th inning. Boy, if that ball gets past Dozier, who knows what happens in that inning.
And look where the middle infielders for the Twins are playing, too. Just a little bit deeper in case Duffy's able to get that ground ball. Try to turn 2.
He stays away with a fastball, ball 1.
Well, he's trying to be so fine. You know, he fell behind Nava, was not going to give in. Just kept nibbling, lost him behind Sizemore. He's looking for one pitch to get one specific ground ball and one result.
Over to first base. Nava's back in. Sizemore swinging there, fouling it out of play, 1-1. Kiermaier opened with a triple. He's at third with 1 out. Nava has walked. Team record, in case you're wondering, for triples is 19. Carl Crawford in 2004 had 19 triples. Kiermaier right now with 12 this year. Into left field. That's going to fall for a base hit. Robinson cuts it off. Kiermaier scores the go-ahead run. It's 2-1. Grady Sizemore comes through. Nava stopped at second. The Rays retake the lead.
Well, this ball stays up. Not going to get a ground ball up there, and Grady does a nice job of trying to not pull that pitch, but just take it out into left field. Now the key for the Rays, you've taken the lead once again. Now let's see if they can't add on.
Evan Longoria doubled off the wall in center field his last time. That's a curveball. First pitch for a strike. Ground ball third. Blue steps on the bag and a wide throw to first. So the Twins do not get the double play. It was right there for the taking. And Longoria is aboard with Nava forced to third.
You really couldn't have set it up any better. Plouffe is actually moving right to the bag as he fields. Now step and throw. You know, we get spoiled watching Evan Longoria make that play, and those throws so often right on the money. This one, he pulls just a little bit, and then that pulls Mauer off the bag.
It gives the Rays another opportunity. First and second for John Jaso. There's a curveball, ball 1. Sizemore second, Longoria at first. 2-0. J-So, one of 3 walks allowed by Duffy tonight. J-So waiting on Duffy for the 2-0. It's ball 3, a fastball away. Well, Duffy has worked these left-handed hitters away and sprinkled in the curveball.
I really haven't seen the changeup. That's the pitch that ultimately will help him out if he stays as a starting pitcher against the lefties.
And here is ball 4, and the bases are going to be loaded. That one skipped by Herman.
Almost looked like a cross-up too. Herman did not get a very good read on that.
Number 11, Logan Forsythe.
Somebody messed up there.
Well, the bases are loaded, and here's another look. The Twins are going to have a big conference on the mound.
See that glove initially go up. Herman was thinking fastball. Whether that was him just forgetting the pitch that was called or Duffy going away from the fastball to the breaking ball, it was a mistake made.
Neil Allen, the pitching coach, out there on the mound. And the left-hander Ryan O'Rourke is loosening in the bullpen for Minnesota. The Rays have Logan Forsythe due up now. Rays left the bases loaded in the 4th inning. They don't want to do that here in the 5th. Logan's 0 for 2, a strikeout and a fly ball to center. Fastball is a strike to start this at bat. There's a line drive, and it's caught by Dozier to retire the side. The Rays get the go-ahead run across. Leave them loaded. It's 2-1 Tampa Bay. They got their first run on Daniel Nava's home run. A line drive into right field and into the seats. Second run came in the 5th on the triple by Kiermaier and an eventual base hit by Grady Sizemore. Chris Archer in 5 innings has limited Minnesota to 1 run on 6 hits.
Now he continues to make good use of that slider. 5 innings, 10 punch-outs. He's been dominant once again. He's been given a lead once again. Trying to see if he can make it hold up.
There's Trevor Plouffe leading off the 6th. And that's a strike on the outside part of the plate. Off speed pitch right there. Well, 10 strikeouts. 1 run on 6 hits. He had made 82 pitches through the first 5 innings. Got out of a couple spots in the 4th and 5th, limiting the damage to the single run. It's 1 and 2.
You get so tired of seeing that slider. You're like, the first fastball I see, I'm swinging, even if it's at my face.
Well, 10 strikeouts, 9 have come on the slider tonight. You got Dozier on strike swinging on a fastball back in the 3rd at 95. 2-2 to Plouffe. And he is out looking on a fastball on the corner. So Plouffe is gone. Strikeout number 11.
Well, now you're thinking, okay, well, here comes the slider again. How about a perfectly placed fastball? Frustrating at bat for Trevor Plouffe, and Chris Archer just continues to motor along.
Well, here's Eddie Rosario. Pitch is down. 1 ball, no strikes. Rosario and Robinson, the only hitters not to strike out tonight in the Minnesota lineup. And there's a ground ball handled by Forsythe. The Rays had the shift on, and Rosario's the 2nd out. So 2 up and 2 down in the 6th inning. Eduardo Escobar, the shortstop now. Archer had 11 strikeouts in that gem he threw in Houston. There's a shot deep into center field. Escobar has hit it out, and this game is tied. First pitch fastball, and Escobar hits his 6th home run of the year. And now it's 2-2.
Well, this Minnesota Twins team just will not go away. They're going to cruise through this inning. And the fastball here, Escobar gets full extension and lift. And you could see from the reaction of Chris Archer, he's like, no, no, no. Hoping that ball stays in the park. Did not.
15th home run given up this year by Archer. 8 of those have been to left-handed hitters. Faces the left-handed hitting catcher Chris Herman, and is quickly ahead of him. 2 strikes. And the cut and a miss. He strikes out Herman following the home run. That had a little extra. Fastball at 97. Tonight's great moment in MLB history presented by Geico. It was on this day in 1999, Wade Boggs getting his final major league hit, career hit number 3010, an infield single to second off White Sox right-hander Sean Lowe, and the Rays 9-7 win here at Tropicana Field. Wade would undergo knee surgery on the 7th of September, eventually announcing his retirement November 11th. The final hit for Wade Boggs on this date in 1999. Asdrubal Cabrera leads off the home half of the inning here in the 6th. Pitch down and in around his ankles. A breaking ball down there, ball 1. Cabrera, then Loney and Kiermaier do. Rays got a run in the 4th. The Indians got a run in the 5th. The Rays got a run in the 5th. The Indians got a run in the 6th. And a foul ball at his feet. The count is 1-1. Rays left the bases loaded in both the 4th and 5th innings. So they've stranded 6 tonight. All of that coming in those 2 innings. The Twins have stranded 6 as well, spread over 6 innings. 2-1. Popper short left center. Escobar out there. That's going to fall in among Robinson, Buxton, and Escobar. And a leadoff base hit for Cabrera. So the Rays have the leadoff man on in the 6th inning. Time now to check in once again with Emily.
Still taking your questions for Web Wednesday on Twitter at SunSportsRays, hashtag AskRays, and through email, sunsportsrays@gmail.com. This one comes about Kevin Kiermaier. We saw him stretch that to a triple, which he does many times, but his effort or every play should be an example of why guys should always run hard on every play. So many players give up, even if it's a routine out. He's always running through first base. Just the viewer wants to know your thoughts on that, guys.
All right, first pitch to James Loney is a breaking ball, and that catches the inside part of the plate. Duffy threw him nothing but curveballs in the 4th, opens him with that pitch here in the 6th inning.
Well, I would certainly concur with what was said about Kevin Kiermaier. I mean, he sets the standard, plays hard all the time, and impressive the way he gets out of the box, impressive the way he runs the bases, impressive going after balls out in the outfield. I like the hustle that he shows on the off plays, in backing bases up, in the little things that most people don't even see happen. You're never going to see that. It's not going to catch any camera angle, but he's always there trying to protect his teammates, be a backup guy, be in position to make a play if something goes wrong. It's the hustle that he shows there, I think, that speaks to the type of player he is more than anything else. Because those are the plays you absolutely could take off. No one's going to know. I mean, you kind of half it in there, but he's always trying to put himself in a position to help his team, whether he's part of the initial play or not.
Yeah, it's a mindset that's pervasive in the way you approach and execute the game. It's all-out hustle all the time. Base hit into right field. Loney finally got a fastball there and singles into right. Cabrera stops at second. Yeah, the perverse thing about all that is that it stands out as much as it does. And you'd love to see that all over the place.
Yeah, I know. That should be the norm.
Yep.
But it's not. It's not even close to the norm. But I'll tell you, you've seen some of that rubbing off on some of the other guys on this Rays ball club, the way that they take aggressive turns at first, get out of the box. Definitely a team that wants to put pressure on the defense.
Ron Dunsing, the lefty, loosening down the bullpen. And here's Kiermaier again, who opened the 5th inning with a triple. And a bouncing ball foul. Yeah, we'd love to see that all over the place. You do have to throw out the caveat, however. His speed allows him to do things that a guy with not as much speed would even consider. But still, the effort.
That's
what you want all the time, whether you're slow, medium, or fast. Line drive, base hit into right field. Cabrera is going to have to be held at third. The bases are loaded as the Rays come out swinging here in the 6th inning.
Well, and this is one of those situations. The fact that Duffy was able to wiggle out of those bases loaded situations the last couple of innings, he was tapped out. And so, the Twins elect to stay with him, and that may come back to end up haunting them in this game. Because the Rays have put together 3 straight here, bases loaded, nobody out, on the verge of a big, big inning.
Yeah, you talk about starting pitchers and how many times they can go to the well in trouble.
Yeah.
This is really the 3rd time in the last 3 innings he had a man in scoring position in the 3rd when they got that double play. But now for the 3rd consecutive inning, the Rays are pushing him. Rene Rivera takes a pitch for a strike.
Well, what the Twins are hoping for right now is they want a ball on the ground. They're going to concede that run if they could get a double play. See the way the infield is set up, and that's why Duffy's still out there.
Yeah, they'll give up the lead for a chance to try to avoid a bigger inning. Trying to get 2.
Either
1-1 count.
Either way, they're in a world of hurt right now. They're hoping at this point.
Curveball, he lays off. That's ball 2.
And that wasn't a bad pitch at all. Not a bad pitch at all, but Herman, the catcher, did not really catch this ball clean. See how that glove ends up heading down towards it. Those are the calls, the borderline calls that you will never get.
Well, that's a great example of that. Popped up right side. Mauer toward the dugout with room, makes the catch. And Rivera's the first out.
Now you'd be shocked if they don't go to Dunsing to turn Nava around or force a change here by Kevin Cash. We'll see. Here he comes.
So Paul Molitor comes out. So Duffy's going to depart with the bases loaded. We'll be back in a moment. Bay Area Mazda dealers. Tropicana Field tonight. This game 2-2 in the bottom of the 6th inning. Rays have loaded the bases, 1 out now, and a new pitcher, Ryan Dunsing, 32-year-old lefty in the game, makes his 46th appearance with Daniel Nava due up, and Nava will turn around to hit right-handed here. Nava left-handed in the 4th inning, jumped on the first pitch and lined a home run into the seats in right field.
Trying to sneak that fastball by Nava down and in, asking for trouble. And now he gets to do what all switch hitters love to do. The big hit from both sides of the plate in the same game.
Well, here he is to face Dunsing. The pitch is fouled back. Dunsing with a fastball to start him. Strike one.
Right down the middle. The swing from Nava tells you all you need to know about the location of that pitch.
Nava 0 for 2 in his career against Dunsing. He has drawn a walk and has a run batted in against him. So he's up here with the bases loaded, 1 strike to count. And a little popper on the right side. Dozier out, makes the catch. And Cabrera has to hang on at third. The bases remain loaded as Nava pops out into shallow right. So now Sizemore's due. And Brandon Guyer will come off the bench to pinch hit for him.
Well, the breaking ball just out in front a little bit of a pop-up. Dozier's got to cover a little bit of ground as you see where they were playing. Not all the way in, but about halfway. We cannot let the Twins wiggle out of this situation. Brandon Guyer, he's the guy.
Well, the Rays have left the bases loaded in the 4th inning, in the 5th inning, and they have them loaded in the 6th. It's a tie game, 2-2.
And Neil Allen's telling Brian Dunsing right now, listen, Brandon Guyer's a right-handed hitter. He's very good against left-handed pitching, and he's hot right now. So good luck to you.
And he's really good at being hit by pitches.
Yep, and he comes through in the clutch when he pinch hits. So whatever you got, kid.
You ever have a pitching coach tell you, don't make a bad pitch?
Yeah, I've asked them, you have to give them a home run, ask me how I held it.
Yeah.
Show them, and they don't ever hold it like that again.
So here's the first pitch to Guyer.
Oh,
and boy, that came close to hitting him. I don't know how it missed him.
And I think that he acted as if he expected it to hit him. He was ready to take his base. Look at him. He's ready, lean. That little technique. Ooh.
Come in there again.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, Guyer is refining that. And it's popped up short left. Robinson in is there to make the catch, and the Rays for the 3rd straight inning leave the bases loaded. 2-2 tie.
Inning, guys, coming up on Friday night, it will be Mustache Rally Night. This is the Rally Mustache that's going to be coming out to all Rays fans, courtesy of the Salvador Dali Museum. Here's the deal. You call 888-FAN-RAYS or go to RaysBaseball.com. And this mustache, the cool thing about it, it is adjustable. So if you don't like the straight across look, you can kind of maneuver it and it moves.
Right
it
off,
moves.
apparently.
Huh? There you go. Back to you.
It's the
Nothing
beauty
like
of
live TV.
I was going to say, that is the beauty of live TV. Dwayne, do yours sideways.
You like that?
I'm sure everybody would like that. Do that again. Right there for the
Once
snoop.
is enough.
Right for the snoop.
The snoop, yeah, the snoop.
That's too good. Too good.
Robinson fouls it away. Shane Robinson leading off here in the 7th inning of a 2-2 ball game. Colomé and Cedeno up in the bullpen. Did he go? He did not on that slider, and it's 2-2. And now that's ball 3, and the count is full. Archer upset with himself out there. Geyer stays on the play left after pinch hitting. And ball 4. So a leadoff walk here in the 7th inning.
And keep your eye. As Jim Hickey comes to the mound, you know, he stole second base his last time on against Chris Archer, and Chris never stopped him. He actually had a moving lead from first base, which you very rarely see. So keep your eye on him over at first base.
Well, the Rays talk it over on the mound, and here's what's coming up tomorrow on Rays Live, the pregame show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Bruce Smiley on the hill. We'll be hearing from the Rays starter, and Orestes will break down the Minnesota catcher Kurt Suzuki. Meanwhile, the Rays are dealing with the Minnesota Twins and missed opportunities here in this game. Buxton at the plate. Runner at first, nobody out. The leadoff walk, and the bunt popped up. Rivera can't get back there in time, and it falls a few feet in front of the screen.
Well, trying to do anything to get the runner over. Eventually, you see the barrel of that bat start to drop. That's when the bunt typically goes awry.
100 pitches for Archer. And the 0-1 pitch on its way. Got the bat back and takes the pitch for a ball. The walk to Robinson. The first walk. 12 strikeouts tonight for Archer and 1 walk. And the bunt down. Throw to first, and that's not in time. Forsythe trying to get over there, and Archer had to wait a beat, and that will cost them an out at first base.
Well, Buxton, the long strider up the first base line. That's just a sacrifice bunt. I don't think it was any secret that he was going to bunt, and he still beats it out. Boy, watch this. Turn early, lay it down, and then he's gone.
2 men on with nobody out. There's that long stride.
Wow.
First and second, Robinson at second and Buxton at first. And now Dozier showing the bunt. He takes the slider high. 1-0. Dozier got credit for a run batted in the 5th inning. What amounted to a fielder's choice. Two and 0. Joe Mauer behind Dozier in the Minnesota lineup.
One pitch, double play. Almost had a shot at it last time.
The bunt popped up. Archer cannot come up with it, and everybody's going to be safe.
Kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Archer scrambling off the mound after that one. It's been a frustrating inning here for Archer. Buxton goes to second. Robinson over at third. Dozier reaches, and the bases are loaded on this bunt.
I mean, a miss bunt. I mean, that's not at all what Brian Dozier wants to do. But look at this. He drops it over the head of Chris Archer, and there's no help to be found.
So a frustrated Chris Archer departs with the bases loaded here in the 7th. Started with the leadoff walk. Then Buxton bunted and beat it out at first to set up first and second. And then this bunt by Dozier.
Well, you've got James Loney right here. And so you're wondering where James is at on that play. And you can see his Dozier. He doesn't give away the bunt till late. And right there, the decision made by James Loney to concede that ball to Chris Archer and get to the bag for maybe a potential double play. And you see him start to break in and realizes he's not going to get there. And so it really ends up becoming the perfect miss bunt that you could have.
Yep. And so frustrating if you're in the middle of that, the way Archer has been all night. 12 strikeouts through 6 innings plus. He leaves with the bases loaded. Xavier Cedeno's in the game to face Joe Mauer. So a big spot for the Rays, who've left the bases loaded in each of the last 3 innings. Now the Twins have them loaded. And the pitch to Mauer is a ball.
And you got to believe, with Colome warming up down there, that it's one and done for Xavier Cedeno. You come in with everything you got for this one hitter. You think about Colomé on Sano. First things first.
That's a strike. 1-1.
Nothing to see here.
So it's the lefty Cedeno against Mauer. They have not faced each other before. And a little pop up, short center. That's going to fall out of the reach of Forsythe. 1 run will score, and the bases remain loaded. So Mauer drops it into shallow center. Right center out of the reach of Forsythe, scoring Shane Robinson. And so they turn the leadoff walk into a run on this base hit.
Sweeping breaking ball right off the end of the bat. You can see the shards as that bat breaks, but just enough to drop it out of the reach of Logan Forsythe.
So the run charged to Archer. Cedeno departs, and the call will go to the bullpen for Colomé. Chris Archer out of the game. Cedeno on for the one hitter, and now it's Alex Colomé making the appearance here, inheriting a bases loaded situation.
Well, he's going to have to conjure up his appearance at Houston, where he went through Altuve, Gonzalez, and Correa. As good as he was there, he's going to have to do that here. Team already down by a run. Bases are loaded. He has been throwing the ball great for the Rays, and he's going to have to be at least that good here.
Miguel Sano, who singled in the 4th inning, 1 for 3 tonight. So it's Colomé and Sano face to face here.
Power on power, infield in with the shift.
And the pitch down and away. Slider taken for a ball. It's popped up, and that is a major league pop-up. Forsythe there on that infield. That's an infield fly if there ever was one. And Sano is a big out right there.
Well, you're not kidding. Can't allow any more.
I mean, that his home run was high, and that pop up very high. Now Trevor Plouffe. He's 0 for 3.
I think he made it above the A ring.
It's a ball. 1-0 while the Rays try to get out of this spot. Justin Verlander has a no-hitter going in Detroit against the Angels through 7 innings. Tigers have a 5-0 lead in that one. Want to know the count to Plouffe. A little number, that's foul. 1-1. 3 runs, 10 hits now for the Twins. 2 runs, 7 hits for the Rays. Archer left with the bases loaded. One of those runs is scored. He's been charged with 3. Cut and a miss, 1-2. Pop foul. The other way and out of play. Colomé coming in with a slider.
Steady diet, and why not? Right now, I'm throwing it at 90 miles an hour, and he's either trying to get Plouffe to chase, swing and miss at it, or it's a nice pitch to be able to get a hitter to reach and hit you a ground ball to the middle infielders. It's your double play.
Rivera making a trip to the mound. Robinson walked, then the bunt by Buxton. Dozier trying to bunt. Dropped one out of the reach of Archer, who was scrambling off the mound after the ball. And Loney had retreated to the bag at first, anticipating that Archer might catch it. All of that in a split second to load the bases. Mauer dropped the broken bat base hit in to drive in a run. Down a bit with the fastball. 2-2. Take a look at this pitch.
Steady diet of breaking stuff away. And then the fastball down and in. Can set up that slider back away.
Up the right side, that's foul, well out of play. Twins scored a run in the 5th inning, a run in the 6th. They have another run across in the 7th inning. The major threat here. Bases loaded, 1 out. Plouffe getting time granted by the plate umpire Jordan Baker. Two, up and in. And now the count is full. Fouling off a couple pitches en route to this full count. And the big 3-2 pitch about to be made. High fly ball. It's Geyer trying to get into position. Now it's Kiermaier going to get into position. His throw's going to be toward third. Buxton scores. It's a 2-run game, 4-2, as Plouffe lifts the fly ball into left center, and Kiermaier made the catch out there.
Well, and with Buxton, we've already seen his speed home to first. Didn't have to be that deep to be able to score him, and that's why you saw Kevin Kiermaier not even take the shot. Absolutely pointless. Keep the runner from advancing to third.
Eddie Rosario, the hitter, he doubled in the 4th inning, is 1 for 3. Homered and triple last night. Pitch is a strike. So the 4 runs all charged to Archer. Struck out 12. Tapper down the first, foul, rolling toward the dugout. Twelve strikeouts, 1 walk. Turned out to be 9 hits, including these 3, essentially 2 bunt hits and a broken bat hit in this inning to go with a walk. Pitch away. It's 1-2. And he got him. Rosario out on strikes to retire the side. But 2 runs scored. It's 4-2 Minnesota. By H.H. Gregg, and that all comes in the 7th on the walk to lead it off to Shane Robinson. There's the bunt by Buxton, and things went downhill from there.
I mean, how it started, the walk, the bunt that Buxton beats out, the bunt here, James Loney decides to peel off to first. Chris Archer cannot make the play. It falls in, bases loaded, and then how about this, a broken bat bloop out into center field, drops in. That scores the first run. Then you got to bring in Colomé. Gets Sano to pop out. That's good. Got ahead of Plouffe, but he was able to get this slider deep enough to score the speedy Buxton. That would be the second run, and then you punch out Rosario and get out of it, limit the damage, and give yourself a fighting chance.
Evan Longoria comes out swinging and fouls the first pitch right back into the screen. Bottom of the 7th underway. Having doubled off the center field wall in the 4th inning, he's 1 for 3. It's 1-1. Well, you talk about the small ball literally in the top of the 7th inning. It has cost the Rays a couple runs, and they're down 4-2. And it all started with the leadoff walk.
And you think about that on top of all of the Rays' opportunities. A couple of bases loaded situations with 2 outs, but then they had a bases loaded with nobody out and didn't get anything.
Yeah, you leave the bases loaded 3 straight innings. That's not good. 2-2. Brandon Gomes up in the bullpen for the Rays in a 2-run game here. There is ball 3. Saw Blaine Boyer up in the Minnesota bullpen. And he's been sidelined for a while. There's a long one to left. That ball well tagged, and it's gone. 3-2 fastball, and Longoria connects to make it a 1-run ball game. His 14th home run of the year. The Rays hoping that will ignite something in the offense.
Now remember, you're going up against a bullpen who's not been very good this year. And so you should get chances. They've had chances, haven't cashed in, but on a full count fastball, Evans sells out for it. And that ball left the bat, and Brian Dunsing immediately asking for another baseball.
John Jaso is the hitter. Taking a pitch wide. 103.2 miles per hour off the bat for Longoria's home run. Jaso looks at a strike to take the count to 1-1. Well, Verlander has a no-hitter through 8 innings. Tigers at home leading the Angels 5-0. Did not go. It's 2-1. And it's a 3-1 count to the Rays DH. Right now, Dunsing and Archer are the pitchers of record in this game. And that's fouled. So a full count. Up and in for ball 4. So the home run followed by the walk. And now the Rays have a man on with nobody out. Paul Molitor comes out of the dugout and is headed to the mound. We'll be back in a moment. Cameron. Come join the party we call hat tricks. By Checkers, epic meals, epic deals. By SunTrust. And by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Right-hander Blaine Boyer has been on the disabled list with elbow issues. Just off. And he's in this game following Duffy and Dunsing to the mound.
52nd time, ERA 2.98. 48 in the third innings. Not a big strikeout guy, as you can see.
Logan Forsythe facing him. And the first pitch is a strike call. Upstairs. It's 93 with the fastball. Normally pretty heavy on the fastball with the slider and then the occasional curve from Blaine Boyer. Now 1-2. Boyer worked in 2 of the 3 games. The Rays played the Twins up in Minneapolis, inning in relief in a 3-2 Minnesota win, and then also worked in the second game of that series in a game won by the Twins 6-4. Forsythe fouls it out of play. Logan had a base hit in last night's game, his first time up, and scored a run. 1 for 5 last night, batting with a runner at first, nobody out in the bottom of the 7th tonight in a 1-run game. 4-3 Minnesota. Upstairs, 2-2.
Well, and Boyer, a guy over the course of his career, been known to get a ground ball or two. And that's exactly what he's hoping for right here. Logan Forsythe trying to get the barrel to the baseball, hit something hard. Try to get this offense come back to life. Evan Longoria, his part with a home run to start this inning.
And the foul ball, battling that pitch. Still 2-2. Cabrera on deck with nobody out. Jaso at first. Another foul that's out of play, same spot.
You can envision this at bat lasting for a while. Boyer keeps attacking him with the hard stuff. Logan Forsythe continues to fight him off.
Rays with some great opportunities down the middle part of this game, trying to build an inning in the 7th. And a foul ball just enough, and Herman could not hang on. That forces another pitch from Boyer.
Well, you could see from his numbers, he just doesn't have that wipeout strikeout pitch. Has gotten to 2 strikes. It's been 1 fastball after the other. Forsythe's been able to foul him off. You'd expect at some point to see the breaking ball.
Two again. And it's skied to short center. Buxton still coming in and makes the catch for the first out of the inning.
Or not. Stay with the hard stuff.
Shortstop, number 13, Asdrubal Cabrera.
Well, a 9-pitch at bat for Forsythe, and here is Asdrubal Cabrera. He has walked and singled after striking out back in the second inning. Cabrera hitting .265 for the year right now. And a step back there by Boyer. Boyer entered this game with a runner at first and is in no hurry here. A prolonged at bat against Forsythe. And a peek over at first. Now the pitch to Cabrera. That's a strike. Boyer a long time with Atlanta. Had a stop in St. Louis and in Arizona. Last year, some time with San Diego. He is ahead in the count to Cabrera with a fastball in the neighborhood of 92, 93. Oh, 2 count. And he strikes him out on the breaking ball. Well, you see a curveball once in a while, heavy on the fastball slider, and then that curveball came as a surprise. And Cabrera is out on strikes.
Well, he put it in a good spot, and the change of speed, 76. And you see Cabrera trying to stay back, trying to keep the hands back. It's so difficult, and once you get out of rhythm with the swing, that can happen.
Well, now it's James Loney. 1 for 3. It's fouled into the screen for a strike. Loney had a base hit in the 6th. One to count on Loney. Tyler Duffy worked 5 1/3, Dunsing 2/3, and now it's Boyer. He's recorded 2 outs. Here goes Jaso. The pitch is a strike, and the throw is not in time. A stolen base for Jaso. Jaso carrying the potential tying run on the run and picks up his 2nd stolen base of the year.
And how about Boyer? Posting base steal is just 2 out of 5 against Boyer. He's had a couple of pickoffs, but a breaking ball, picked a good pitch to run on. Well, you wonder if he keeps that tag on him. He's watched the front leg hit the bag and then pop up.
So the Rays have Jaso at second. And Paul Molitor on the top step of the dugout with his video people taking a look at replays of that play at second base. And he's going to challenge that call at second base.
Well, you saw the front foot of Jaso hit the bag and then pop off of it. And then there was the tag that hit his jersey before that back leg got to the bag. There's a lot going on here. They're going to have to take a look at a lot of different things. He was certainly there in time. It was just, was the tag still on him when he came off the bag?
Jerry Meals and Paul Immel donning the headsets.
See right there, he comes off the bag for a split second, but was the tag on him? You can't see it there, so nothing definitive.
Yeah, I think they'd have a difficult time with that clear and convincing that we've so often talked about.
You can see that the glove gets the jersey there, but you also the back leg. When is that touching against? I don't think you could overturn that. No way.
So Paul Molitor gives it a shot. Rays challenged to play earlier. Actually, they were victimized by that. There you see from the overhead shot.
It's all circumstantial evidence. What you need to think about is, can James Loney come up with a big 2-out hit here? Get him home.
Well, Jaso trying to spark this situation by getting himself into scoring position. The Angels have come up with a hit with Verlander looking for a no-hitter. That game moving into the ninth. Tigers had a 5-0 lead as Verlander made a bid for his third no-hitter, but that's not going to happen tonight against the Angels. And that game is now a final as Verlander wins his second game of the year. It's a 5-0 final, and the Angels got one hit. Tigers win it. Chris Iannetta got a double. And they're going to call him out. How about that? After all of that, it's going to be an out call at second base, and that's going to end the 7th inning.
Well, it was that front leg popping off the bag. They must have somehow. There's a little bit of a break there in the action of the slide in.
Yeah, that's tough. Tonight's game summary brought to you by Golden Diamond Source. The Rays are down by a run as Longoria hit the home run in the bottom of the 7th. Chris Archer working the front 6 with 12 strikeouts, eventually charged with 4 earned runs. And Brandon Gomes takes over here in the 8th with Escobar taking a breaking ball in there for a strike. So Gomes, pitcher number 4 for the Rays, making his 46th appearance. It's 1-1. A long one to right field off the bat of Escobar, and he has hit this one out, his 2nd home run of the night, and the Twins again have a 2-run lead. Escobar's 7th home run of the year.
Well, and for Brandon Gomes, the split has been such a big part of his success, and I think that was one that got away from him. There it is. Kind of just stays middle and flat, and Escobar right down and through it.
Well, Gomes had retired the last 26 batters he faced, and is touched for the home run. And here's a shot off the bat of Herman into the stands, foul for a strike. So it's a 2-run game again. 5 runs on 11 hits for Minnesota. 0-2 the count. Down and in, 1-2. They say this was the definitive look, according to MLB, on that play at second base. Yeah, well, if that's the best they've got, that's not definitive. And again, to take as much time as they did, there's a liner into right, and that's a base hit on one hop. Herman's headed for second, and he's in there with a double. So Herman with a 2-base hit following the home run by Escobar. And right now, let's check in with Todd Callis. Todd, what have you got?
Dwayne, you mentioned the happenings in Detroit tonight. Justin Verlander had walked 2 going into the 9th inning, but both had been erased on double play. So he faced the minimum through 8. Verlander threw a no-hitter in 2007 against Milwaukee. Also threw a no-hitter in 2011 against Toronto. So tonight he was trying to keep the every 4 years no-hitter streak going. And here's Chris Iannetta leading off the 9th, and this ball literally landed right on the line for a double. That would be the only hit allowed tonight in a 5-0 Tigers victory. Verlander finished the game with a 1-hitter, guys.
All right, thank you for that definitive update. And it's a 5-3 ball game here. One ball, 1 strike. A ball, he checked in time. Shane Robinson has been on 3 times, a double, reached on a fielder's choice and walked, and has scored twice, has a stolen base tonight. Pitch is low, and it's 3-1. Nobody out here in the 8th against Gomes. And the bunt. Gomes with the toss to Forsythe. Over to third goes Herman. Robinson moves the runner over on a sacrifice. Runner at third, one out with a run in. And Byron Buxton is the hitter. And he has a couple hits. He's 2 for 4. Fly ball center field. Kiermaier closing in a hurry to make the catch. A tag, but no attempt to score as Kiermaier got on his horse to make that catch.
And you almost could have, for the simple fact that Kiermaier, you know, he doesn't know if there's going to be a tag or not, but he got rid of that ball so quickly off of 1 foot that it was way up the line.
You know, here's the other side. You got Herman, the catcher, at third. Kiermaier had a full head of steam. Maybe if he catches that and runs it into the plate, he beats Herman to the plate.
He had a good full head of steam.
Yeah, he did.
A full head of steam. Maybe that, I mean, maybe if he saw a quicker break, wouldn't that be something?
Here's Dozier. The pitch is a strike. I mean, he was moving, getting there in a hurry.
He was moving. Didn't even bother to set his feet. He caught that ball and flipped it in there, but they obviously weren't going to challenge him on that ball that was so shallow. He could have run it in it for sure and like let it go from shortstop, just go a baby to Rivera. I want to see that play again, and I want to see it done differently.
That's something to work on in the spring. 1-1 the count. Cut and the miss by Dozier. Now 1-2.
Well, you think at some point teams are going to wise up. I mean, he's got a ton of assists, and I think you'll start to see that number go down. Not because any lacking arm strength, but teams have just stopped challenging him.
It's 2-2. Joe Mauer on deck. Well, Kiermaier, speaking of Kiermaier, with that triple tonight, gives him 12. He's got 13 assists, so the last outfielder to have as many as 12 triples and 12 assists was Carlos Beltran in 2001, and Kiermaier is there to make the catch, collides with Nava, and both of them appear to be all right. Let's hope so. They are. You can come away smiling from that. A little chest bump after a fine catch right there. It's 5-3 Minnesota. It's choreographed pretty well. Let's check in right now with Emily Austin.
Dwayne, not like there's a ball game going on or anything, because we're going to end Web Wednesday with a bunch of questions for BA. Bill and Joe want to know, we want BA as manager. Would he consider we like his calls? Also, Bob Curry wants to know what his tattoo is on his front right arm. I don't pick these.
This is late. This is late. You would not want me as
all
manager.
about BA.
The line base hit off the bat of Loney to start the bottom of the 8th inning. Well, that's all you, BA.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think managing would be for me at all. I like to watch it from up here. I wouldn't want to leave D-Wayne, the rest of the crew.
Yeah, we'd be lonely without you.
And as far as the tattoo goes, that's just going to have to stay a mystery.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll go short sleeve. Maybe next time I roll this up a little further, and someone can get a screenshot of it and you can read it. I don't know.
Kevin Kiermaier up here takes a pitch away. How about Kiermaier and Nava? A chest bump after the catch by Kiermaier to close out the top half of the 8th. Kiermaier on the ground to second. Dozier, Escobar 1. First base 2.
That is the only way that you get Kiermaier. We saw him maybe last night beat out a potential double play on a chopper back to the pitcher. But this ball was hit sharply right to Dozier. No wasted movement, and the ball's got to get to the infielders quickly. And they just do get Kiermaier at first.
So on the heels of the double play, J.P. Arancibia, who just joined the club up from Durham, will pinch hit for Rene Rivera. Arancibia had hit 22 home runs at Durham. One strike to count. Chop, third base. Bluth's going to let it roll, and it bounces foul. The count is 0-2. Well, the Rays had opportunities down the middle, and it really hurt that they did not cash in then. You see Geltz and Romero down there in the bullpen, leaving the bases loaded in the 4th, again in the 5th, and in the 6th inning. And then the way that 7th inning started with a walk and then a bunt, Dozier's bunt and the broken bat single, was, as it turned out, disastrous. And now it's 5-3 with the Rays batting here, 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. Sevilla drives it into center. Buxton is there to catch the liner. Rays get a hit, lose him on a double play. We go to the 9th, 5-3 Twins. Game coming up on Rays Live, the post game presented by Checkers. Todd DeRestis will anchor the coverage. We'll hear the post game managers press conference with Kevin Cash and Emily Austin. We'll have interviews from the clubhouse tonight. Kevin Cash chatting there with Drew Smiley, who will be pitching tomorrow night. It will be a matchup of lefties, Tommy Malone and Drew Smiley tomorrow. JP Arencibia stays on to catch. Eddie Romero is the new pitcher. Joe Mauer takes the first pitch outside. Romero pitched 2 innings last night. Had 3 strikeouts, gave up a triple. Now Mauer hits it deep the other way. Geyer's going to go back, and it's off the wall. He's got a nice carom, but the throw's a little wide. Mauer's into second with a leadoff double. Mauer's 3rd hit tonight.
Well, Eddie Romero is going to supply a lot of the power in the way this ball gets off the bat of Mauer. Going the opposite field straight into left field. But you've got a mid-90s fastball. Get the barrel out there. And he goes about 2/3 of the way up the wall to lead off the 9th.
McGill Sano. And that's a strike. We got some power on power here. One ball, 1 strike. The dirt blocked by Arencibia.
And blocked well. That breaking ball well out in front of Arencibia. I think it's the right shoulder he's going to roll up and over top of that baseball to keep it out in front. You know, if you play that thing straight up, it's going to bound away from you, but he was able to get out over the top of it.
Big cut and a miss. 2-2. Upstairs. The count is full. Cut and a miss. Sano out on strikes. Romero got it by him on the fastball. Hit it around 96. As we discussed last night, there's a lot to like in that power arm of Romero. It's a matter of commanding what he has. Here's Trevor Plouffe. Pops it to the right side. Nava on the run, coming toward the line, and that ball drops. Mauer had to hold up at second. He wasn't sure. No, he caught that ball. We were screened by Loney. And back to second goes Mauer. Boy, it came close to short hopping Nava, and he just did get there.
Not exactly how you draw this up, but eyes the whole way. Loney senses him coming. Ooh, little basket catch around the knees. Tough angle for Loney. Tough catch for Nava.
Boy, that's a difficult catch to begin with. And with Loney out there, absolutely tough. So here's Rosario. And the pitch is a strike. How about Rosario so far in the series? We've got a double tonight. He had a home run and a triple last night. This one is going to be out of the reach, out of play. Geyer over there, and it's a 2-strike count. So Rosario has 3 hits in the series, a home run, triple, and a double. Kevin Jepson up in the bullpen for the Twins. Finished it off last night for them. And a cut and a miss on the fastball. Rosario down on strikes. Bottom of the ninth coming. It's 5-3 Minnesota. Kevin Jepson on to work the bottom of the ninth inning for Minnesota against the top of the Rays lineup. Daniel Nava, Brandon Geyer, and Evan Longoria due up, and the Rays are down by 2 runs.
Well, Jepson's numbers with the Twins very good and looking to pick up a save here. Rays down to their last chance.
Nava homered in the 4th. He walked in the 5th. Officially 1 for 3 on the night. Strike 1 from Jepson. Well, the Yankees lost earlier to Houston today, 6-2. Texas is losing right now to Toronto, 10-2. That's in the bottom of the 6th in Arlington. The Angels have lost 0-2. The Orioles leading 6-3 in Kansas City in the top of the 8th. By the way, Jonathan Scope apparently hit a ball out of sight in that one off Cueto. He said it went 484 feet. The chop back to Jepson. And he underhands it to first, 1 away in the 9th.
I saw a video of it,
Yep.
and it's impressive. It's really impressive. And you know when a guy hits a home run like that, and you see it land, and the first cut is into the Oriole dugout to get their reaction,
Yep.
you know it was a bomb.
Wow. Right now, that's how it stacks up there. Minnesota, halfback of Texas. The Angels a game back. Baltimore and the Rays 2.5. But the Baltimore score active and the Rays active, but down to their last 2 outs. Here's Geyer fouling it back over the screen. Strike one. Orioles have opened a 7-3 lead now. Geyer pinch hit in the 6th inning and flied out to left. It's the pitch close. It's 1-1. One and two. Well, a tough loss last night to the Twins, 11-7. And Archer came out firing tonight. But the Rays find themselves on the short end of a 5-3 score in the bottom of the 9th. Needing a base runner. And now they're down to their final out. Jepson strikes out Brandon Geyer. 2 outs, bases empty. And Evan Longoria, who homered in the 7th to make it a 1-run game at the time, follows Geyer.
Just climbing the ladder, one fastball higher than the next. And that's what the story has been here for Jepson, coming in firing bullets.
But 2 shots tonight by Longoria. The double in the 4th off the center field wall and the home run in the 7th. The pitch is a strike, a home run. His 14th of the year, came on a 3-2 pitch.
Full count, fastball up and out over, and it was a no-doubter.
Did he go? He did not, and the count is 1-1. A 1-1 count. And pitch popped into short center. Buxton coming in and makes the catch to end this one. The Rays go down in order in the bottom of the 9th. And the Minnesota Twins have taken the first 2 games of this series, winning tonight 5-3. Dunsing's going to get the win out of the bullpen for Minnesota. Archer will suffer the loss. And Jepson picks up a save in this 2-run contest. 5-13-1 for the Twins with 10 left. 3-9-1 with 9 left for the Rays. Took 3 hours and 21 minutes to play this game. And the wild card situation now finds the Rays 2 under 500 and 3 games back in the wild card chase. So they've lost ground here in this series to Minnesota. Tough night for Chris Archer, who started strong, but the Twins ultimately win this one 5-3. For Ron Anderson and the rest of our crew, Dwayne Stats, hope you've enjoyed the telecast, if not the outcome. We'll be back with you tomorrow, 6:30 on Sun Sports for the wrap-up game of this series. Rays Live, the postgame presented by Checkers, is next.